Charlestown is located inland near the town of Buff Bay in the parish of Portland. The settlement emerged around 1754, but Charlestown as a Maroon community was not named on maps until 1832. Prior to this date, it was called New Crawford Town. Unlike other Maroon settlements, Charlestown is not located in the deep mountain valleys, but rather on the flat coastal plains. It is one of 4 major Maroon settlements in Jamaica. The others are Accompong in St. Elizabeth, Scots Hall in St. Mary, and Maroon Town in Portland. 3 major attractions in the community are the museum, the library, and the Asafo ground. In front of the museum is a library which has many books on Maroon heritage. The Asafo ground is the venue for the annual Charlestown Maroon celebrations. The history of the Maroons goes back to many years, and its rich legacy continues to thrive in our country today. At the 10th Annual Charlestown International Maroon Conference, held in Portland from June 20 to 24, 2018, the legacy and traditions of the Maroons were commemorated. This conference is a celebration of history that attracts persons locally and internationally to learn more about its rich cultural movement.
We're not supposed to be voted into the political system in Jamaica. You lose a lot of your rights because the Jamaican government is querying to say, well, oh, you say you're Maroon and you're voting our system. So therefore, we're not supposed to be doing that. A government, to be acting as a government, you're not supposed to be relying on another government to be coming into your town, to be telling you how to do and what not to do. We see the cockpit country, which the government also have mining license, still trees surrounding around the cockpit country. Granny Nanny rules. Granny Nanny always rules, and she fight, and this peace treaty or agreement what the Maroons signed with the British does not come to fulfillment. We need to let go of the Jamaican identity and the Jamaican passport and the Jamaican driving license and the Jamaican flag also, and rise our own flags because we are our own people. We are the free people on this land, the only indigenous free people on the land are now the Tainos and also the Maroon people, who they call the Maroons.
The most important things about Maroon community, and one of the most important things is the continuation of the culture, wherein we are not saying that there are not other places in Jamaica where the African culture is not pronounced. But I think it is more pronounced in the Maroon communities, more than anywhere else. And it is up to us as a people to continue that way, to make sure that we don't have to go down the road and people have to wonder that our foreparents came from Africa. We were not born in Africa, but Africa was born in us.
We give thanks for whose shoulders we stand on, those whose shoulders, those who have paved the way, those that have gone before, those that have shed blood, sweat, and tears for us to be here in this land, in this time. We give thanks for them.
Yes, here we have Charlestown, group drummers and dancers, led by acting Colonel Marcel Douglas.
All the Maroons that are settled here in Charlestown today were first settled in Old Crawford Town, but before Old Crawford Town, they were from Ghana. After leaving Old Crawford Town, which they had settled, they came to Charlestown, where some remain here in Charlestown, some went to Moortown, Eastern Portland. the life of the Maroon today is a bit different from our foreparent ones because our foreparents' legacy has not been fully taught to us because they had to hide some in secret because they didn't want the British to really know what they were doing.
The first Maroons were not the Africans. The first Maroons were the Tainos who went into the hills and mountains of Jamaica to get away from European encroachment. The Europeans came, took away their lands, destroyed their social, political, and religious structures. They created their own structures in their own spaces in the hills. Then, as we were told in the history books, many of them were annihilated, were killed for various reasons, but they were not all dead. And so they went into the hills, created their own life once more, reestablished themselves, and they were later joined by the Maroons, the Africans, who came over to replace them to work on the tobacco, then sugar plantation. And as such now, the Maroons encompass the Tainos and the Africans. But we are looking now at a race of people that perhaps will say to you, these are Africans. A lot of the Africans interbred with the Tainos. So in Jamaica, you're going to find that there are people who are going around who perhaps did not know that they are half Taino, half African. So Maroonage then is about resistance, rebellion, and is about not submitting.
Open rebellion was one of the ways that the Maroons used as a means of survival and resistance against the harsh treatment of the Europeans.
The rich history of the Maroon is maintained by teaching and providing a museum where people can come and learn about the Maroon. People are more educated about the Maroons today because we provide the necessary facility. We go into schools, into communities, hotels, wherever it be that we can get to express the culture of the Maroon so people can know it. I've always been a part of the cultural celebration of the Maroon. I was born into this culture, and when they developed the culture in 2002, of course I was one of the forerunner in the midst, and so I continue to do that.
The best of Maroon culture and heritage was on display at the 10th Annual International Maroon Convention. Organized by the Charleston Maroons, the event was held to honor and draw national and international attention to the unique history, culture, heritage, and practices of Maroon communities in Jamaica.
I've been involved from maybe about 3 years now, at least 3 conferences. While I was assigned to the Ministry of Finance as a Director General working on the whole area of public finance management, and one of the things that I had to do was to take the economic reform program and localize it, bring it down into the communities and connect the information to the people. And so Charlestown became one of those rural areas that I worked with. And the colonel at the time, Frank Lumsden, was very impressed that finance was coming to the people. Since then I've been with them, and then I've moved over to national security as a permanent secretary and thought this is a really good platform for continuing the dialogue, because their business model is really very participatory and very involving and inclusive, and their indigenous dialogue is a good construct and place to locate peace, this discussion on peace. And now that we're in the situation that we're in Jamaica, where that is what we want, that's the narrative we want, and this is a place that we're looking at a lot of peace discussion, peace arguments, peace constructs. So I continue to be involved with the Charleston Marine Council on their technical team, but I'm also using my portfolio in national security to continue and strengthen that dialogue of peace building.
I'm with the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust. I'm the Executive Director, Dr. Susan Otuokan, and JCDT manages the Blue and the John Crow Mountains National Park. And most of that national park is actually now not just national, but a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And that's an indication of the significance of the area, how important it is, not just to Jamaica, but for the world. We are extra special because we're one of only 35 of the over 1,000 World Heritage Sites that has been inscribed, not just for nature or natural heritage, but also for cultural heritage. And the cultural heritage we have been inscribed for is the heritage of the Maroons, particularly what we call the Windward Maroons in the eastern side of the island. UNESCO encourages countries to nominate important sites that a country considers of universal value as World Heritage Sites. And if they find that they meet the standards, then they will place that seal of approval. The site has been inscribed, as I said, because the Windward Maroons used the lush forests, the steep mountain slopes, the cascading streams, the wide variety of wildlife in the Blue and John Crow Mountains to establish their heritage and then to successfully defend it against the British to secure their freedom and sovereignty. And still today they maintain their traditions, and there are still numerous places in the Blue Mountains, like Nanny Town deep in the Blue Mountains, and other sites and trails that are significant for the Maroons, as well as the plants and animals. Many of the plants have use as herbal remedies, although some of them are also important for feeding the animals and the unique wildlife that exist only in this part of the world and nowhere else.
Each year, people travel across Jamaica and around the world to participate in this dynamic event.
My name is Bettina Moss. I'm from Los Angeles, California, from National University. And this is my first time in Jamaica and my very first time to the Maroon Conference. One of the things we do in our program is a project called Cinematic Storytelling Across Cultures. So we always look for different universities in different places in the world where we can connect students in the online universe and exchange cultural information and create friendships and relationships. And I am having such a wonderful time here. It's the most beautiful place. The conference is spectacular, filled with interesting people about a culture that I certainly never knew about. I have, of course, heard of Jamaica, but it was so exciting to find this extraordinary culture within Jamaica, and that's why I came.
I came here this year to present a paper on sustainable identities. This is my first year participating in the conference. It's been lovely. Everybody's been so welcoming, and I'm looking forward to coming back. So we've been here. We've seen, we had 2 days of panels, which was nice to hear from locals, some of the government officials and other scholars working on Maroon questions, you know, like doing research on that. Hearing the drumming, the dancing, just being around the community, it's been really great. It's been a nice experience.
Me never born a mental time, but remember me tell you, picking no easy. Them know if you pick up the rhythm and the pipe if you tell them. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the time I remember lies and water come at me eye. Every time I remember lines and water come at me.
My name is Ruben Ravenberg, they will say in English, and thus they say Ravenberg. I'm from Suriname. I'm a Maroon from Suriname. I'm from the Njuka tribe, and I'm here to represent Suriname. Ambassador Fidelia Grant. She introduced me in this because in the past I was at the background of all the activity. But last year, March 27, I became the first Njuka PhD. And Mrs. Fidelia, she come to me and she said, Ruben, It's not time to stay at the background more because you are now a role model for the Njuka tribe. Because if we look at your history, the Civil War in Suriname, I lost 3 years to it, and from 96 until 1999, I lost here, but I come back to the city, and I struggle, and I reach the top. As you say, I must be a role model for the other Njuka members. That's why I'm here also the Paramount Chief. When he became a Paramount Chief, he called me and tell Ruben, I need your help because he also a close relation of my father. And he said, Ruben, you have to join me at my job. I said, okay, no problem, uncle, I'm ready. So I'm now in the spotlight of the Njuka.
Hi, I'm Professor Opal Palmer Adisa, the University Director of the West Indies, University of the West Indies. And this is my first time coming to the conference, but as an undergraduate, I came and did research at Maroon Town. So the history of the Maroon, the history of rebellion and resistance is very much a part of my own objective and my career. And it's important in these times when Maroon culture and what Maroon stand for is dissipating, that a conference such of this, a festival such of this occurs so people can learn more and be inspired by their ancestry, because the ancestry is Jamaica. It has been very well organized. I particularly enjoyed yesterday the cultural avenue, the women's gathering, the healing that was going on. Friday I participated in the academic section of it, and so that was also good to see a mixture of academics looking at Maroonage in various ways and how it continues, and then blending that with the culture and the history and the vibrancy of Jamaica. So I advocate for people to come, and I certainly intend to come back next year and participate both as an intellectual in the academic part, but also just to participate in this celebration of culture and Maroonage.
Greetings, my name is Lucayo Casillas. I'm from California, the Bay Area. I go to Dartmouth College, one of the 7 Ivy League schools. I'm here conducting undergraduate research on the Maroon history and the powers of the sovereignty and how the African influence politically, socially, economically, how those things provide the discipline and have allowed Maroons to maintain their tribal sovereignty. With my I hold that my heritage is important to this. So my mother is a black woman from Trinidad who grew me on things like Rastafari and things about African tradition. And my father is an American Indian, and Lucayo is an Arawak American Indian name. So I have both those traditions. And so when I come here, it's very similar to like the American Indian peoples. I see this like the Indian reservations, which were created out of warfare and treaty making between, all European powers and amongst American Indian peoples. And so you can see that Maroons are doing something similar. So it shows that there is an indigenous power here, there is indigenous sovereignty here that must be preserved. And so with my history, I'm hoping to bring these things forward. I'm starting now early in my career. I'm 21 years old, and I plan to be working with these things for a long time. And so I just give thanks.
To ensure that the conference is an experience that is transformational and filled with the rich cultural heritage, cuisine, and literature, the organizers spend extensive time, effort, and expertise to prepare the activities.
Well, this is the 10th year anniversary of the International Charlestown Maroon Conference, which was an event imagined by Colonel Frank Lumsden, the colonel of the Charlestown Maroons, who died 2 years ago in 2015. And he envisioned an academic conference intermixed with a Maroon cultural festival that he hoped would create an indigenous global community without borders. So we're here to fulfill that mission.
Well, organizing the conference takes a lot of energy, a lot of work, and the enthusiasm and vision of a lot of people. We send out a call for papers very early in the spring. It circulates, and scholars from all over the world respond to the call. They send in proposals for papers they'd like to present at the conference. We read them, we decide which ones we like, and we invite them to attend. That process probably takes us 6 months, and is difficult because it involves evaluating the proposals, coordinating with the individual academics, their needs, their schedules, and so forth, and then bringing them all here to Portland. It's a difficult, but it's an exhilarating process, and the results are exciting. Well, we got involved because Colonel Frank Lumsden, whom Fran mentioned earlier, who was the sort of visionary behind this conference and was a Maroon, leader of the Charlestown Maroons, basically ambushed us. In different ways, under different circumstances, Frank approached Fran and approached me and simply asked us as academics who were interested in Maroon history and Maroon tradition whether we wouldn't be willing to help him organize a conference. From there, we got involved, and we can't get uninvolved. We're kind of entangled in Colonel Frank's vision, and we hope we've served it well, even though we may look like the oppressors of old.
The Charlestown Maroon Council has always been very welcoming of us, and what we try and do is listen to what they want us to do and integrate their vision with what an academic conference does. And it's not always seamless or easy, but we try to collaborate, to improvise, and to listen to what we're asked to do and to step back. I think we both view ourselves as not in charge, but as Paul put it, serving a vision that is outside of us, that we're very honored to be a part of.
Yeah, and I feel deeply privileged to have been involved in this event for now almost 10 years. I've learned a lot about Maroon history and tradition, and I believe we can learn together a lot from that history and tradition and apply what we learn to the conditions of everyday life today. Maroons are deeply devoted, however vexed the history might be, to the cause of their freedom as a community and the sustainability of their relationship to the land on which they live as a community. And it seems to me their example is an important one for us to consider today as we face challenges vis-a-vis sustaining communities in the face of environmental degradation and so forth. So I've learned a lot, and I try to spread what I've learned about Maroon history and tradition around so others can too.
The Maroon culture is diverse and vibrant, and throughout the conference, patrons are exposed to the incredible lifestyle of the Maroons then and now. One of the most endearing aspects of the conference is to experience the powerful movements of the people, both young and old, through dancing and drumming. The Maroon Festival appeals to all persons from different backgrounds, but the common belief is that the cultural and historical traditions of the Maroons should be preserved and shared.
Honoring my ancestry is Maroon and Taino, so I was part of the wellness village, offered certain holistic healing techniques that come from the indigenous ancestors of the Maroons, the Tainos, and today I participated in the procession by blowing the wamo, which is the Taino version of the abeng, to usher in the beginning of this ceremony and this ritual, this gathering, and to celebrate with our relatives, the Maroons.
Well, my name is Rastakura, and I'm a poet, and I was here performing on Friday night, right? And the experience have been marvelous from that time until this time.
It's interesting, you see so many different Jamaicans coming out to see what this place is about. You see all the different Maroons, you meet the different people, the herbalists, you see some of the language, well, not much of it because a lot of it is secret. And of course the river, which is nice, you can swim in it, and the different clothes that the Maroons themselves wear to identify themselves. It's all about being proud of who they are.
All in all, the 2018 Maroon Conference was eventful, informative, vibrant, and cultural. In keeping with this year's theme, it is without a doubt a community with Maroons and Indigenous people moving towards a sustainable future.
Big ups and much respect. My name is Kevon Scruffmouth Cameron. I'm here at Charlestown at the Asafu Yard, the 10th International Maroon Conference. And this is my poem. I presented on Friday. I will present it again today. The proverb, Sewo wefina wo sankofa a Yankee. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Go back and fetch the answer from your earliest collected memories. Akashic mind mapping like illustrated children's stories, encoded with symbology like a chicken moving forward to cross the street while looking back at its tail. We speak of this proverb like X marks the spot. It is not taboo to remember what you forgot. And Big Up Sankofa is in full effect here at Charlestown as we see the younger generations inheriting those sacred spiritual traditions. And I'm just honored to be here. Big up.